I'm gonna tell you the story about how I made $1 million in one day. Actually, it was closer to $2 million, but I'm gonna say $1 million in one day. And guess how hard I worked for it? On the physical level, zero. I did nothing to get it. Now, on the mental level, I did something, and I did a series of things, and that's what we're going to go over today. So I'm gonna tell you this story. But the reason I'm telling you this story is because I know somebody out there probably wants to make $1 million in one day. I would love to do it again. But here's what I did. But let me tell you the story. So I played 8 years in the National Football League for the Detroit Lions. Had an up and down career, got cut 10 times from the same team. Now look, that's like getting fired from the same job 10 times. Nah, I know some of you love your job, but I don't think you're getting fired 10 times. Well, but when you're in the NFL, that's just part of the process. So, retired at the age of 31 years old. Got a decent amount in the bank, not a whole lot, not millions, but close to $1 million. And then, post-career, got into some bad investments. Trying to do the right thing, but the wrong thing happened. Thought I was being smart with my money, but I didn't know that people were trying to scam me. Had no idea. But that's just what happens when you're trying to make some moves in your life and you just don't know what to do. It just happens. But let me tell you this. So there's a statistic that says 78% of all NFL players go broke within 3 to 5 years after they're done playing. Now, I'm gonna tell you something about that because that might be true. I was one of those 78%. But to be quite honest, 78% of anybody that has done the same thing for 20 years and then one day somebody else tells them that they can no longer do that thing, I promise you 78% of anybody will probably go broke. But I digress. So after I had all that money scammed out of me, I was trying to figure out how in the world am I going to make things happen? You ever feel like you're at the point of how in the world are you going to make things happen? I had bills. I had a wife, 2 kids. So I'm doing all these little odds and ends jobs, trying to make ends meet, and them ends was not meeting. You ever had more month than the end of your money? Oh my God, that happens so often. I'm telling you, there were times I couldn't pay my mortgage. There were times when my power and lights and water were cut off. There were some trying times trying to figure out everything that I could possibly do to keep things afloat. Went into some bad depression. I'll be honest with you. Even had thoughts of taking my own life because I just couldn't figure it out. And I know that some of you understand what that feels like. And I'm telling you, don't do that because what I teach you today will lift you out of that dark place because I was there. But one thing I knew I had one shot. I knew that there were plenty of people who came from nothing and made it to billions in success. I knew there were other people that went through bankruptcy and made it out the other side. So I said to myself, if they could do it, then I could do it. And I started finding those people. And I started studying those people. I knew I had one shot that I had to study. So studying is what I did. So I started studying all the successful people in history. I started studying the Henry Fords. I started studying the Nikola Teslas. I started studying the George Washington Carvers. I started studying the Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s. I started studying the Tom Brady's. I started studying the Socrates. I started studying Aristotle. I started studying all of these successful people who really made a mark on life. And I found something that they did. I found that all of them, even though they did different things, they had the same way of thinking. They only thought about success. And so I said, well, if that's what they did, then maybe I need to start always thinking about success. Because I know what I used to always say. Now when I look back at it, I know why I went broke. Because I used to always say while I was playing in the NFL, I'll never be one of those 78% that go broke. Now I know that sounds all confident, but what's my focus on? See, the way the mind works, the mind does not hear not. When you're talking to yourself or about something, your subconscious mind does not hear not. So if I say, I do not want to go broke, do you know your subconscious mind only hears the subject of the sentence? So what did the subconscious mind hear? Broke. So when I say I do not want to be sick, you know what the subconscious mind hears? Sick. So over and over again, I was just saying, I don't want to go broke. I don't want to be a 78%er. And all my subconscious mind heard was 78%. And so armed with that knowledge, I knew, well, if that worked on the negative, then maybe it could work on the positive. So every single day, I did 3 things. 3 things changed my life. I meditated, I affirmed, and I visualized. Meditation, affirmation, and visualization. Now I'm gonna tell you why this is so important in a minute. So for 2 years straight, after I'm done playing, I'm trying to figure things out. Every single morning, I would meditate, affirm, and visualize. So I'll meditate. Do you know what meditate means? Meditate only means to focus your thoughts. That's what meditate, it comes from a word or Latin or Greek word, meditare, which means to focus your thoughts. So meditate equals to focus your thoughts. Okay, so when I was broke and when I was depressed, you know what I was focusing my thoughts on? Everything that was wrong. So therefore, my meditation was on the negative. I started flipping it from that day to start meditating on the positive. The next thing I did was I made affirmations. Now, a lot of people think, why don't affirmations work? It's because we're often focusing our thoughts on the negative, but trying to say, I am rich, I am healthy, I am prosperous, I am wise. Like we keep trying to say these things. Well, look, when you meditate or you focus your thoughts on the negative and you try to make affirmations, all right, if you try to affirm the positive, they cancel each other out. Because what does affirm mean? Affirm just means to make firm something. So when I meditated, I affirmed the same thing I was meditating. That's what I started doing. Before, I was meditating on the negative and trying to affirm the positive. Now, or after that point, I started meditating on the positive and affirming the same thing I was meditating on or focusing my thoughts on. So you have to affirm just what you've been focusing on. That's it. So that's what I started doing every single morning. And the last thing that I did every single day was I visualized. Now, I like saying I love visualization. I think that's the magic sauce to life. All right, so visualize. So visualization is just a fancy word that means making a mental movie. That's it. So when I was broke and I lost 80 pounds because I did not feel like I deserved to eat. So when I was broke, I was meditating on the negative. I was actually affirming the negative because I kept saying, I don't want to be broke. That's an affirmation on the negative. And then you know what I was doing? I would visualize every single day of all the things that could go wrong. Now talk to me. You ever feel like you can see the negative outcomes in your life? Can you see somebody coming and evicting you out of your house? Can you see the person coming and taking your car out of your driveway, even though your car might be in the driveway right now, but you can see it? What happens is we meditate on the negative, affirm on the negative, and guess what? When you do those things, both of those things combined, I promise you will visualize the negative. But when you flip the order, when you meditate on the positive, when you focus your thoughts on the positive, and you affirm the positive, and you make that mental movie on the positive, something has to happen. If all of that in the negative caused my demise, then all of this in the positive has to lend to my surprise. But it's not really a surprise because guess what? You've been doing the steps. MAV, I want you to remember that. So, every single day, for 2 years, I would do these 3 things. MAV. I would wake up in the morning, I would focus my thoughts on the things that were right. I have a tree in my front yard. I love the tree. I would just be thankful for the tree. Just started saying, thank you for this tree. Then I started saying other things like, thank you for the sky. My favorite color is blue. I get to look at that every day. So everything I was doing, I was starting to focus my thoughts all the time on what was right in my life. And then, after 2 years of doing this, on November 12th, 2021, something happened. tell you what happened. So, my daughter, I have two daughters. They were 7 and 5 years old at the time. My 7-year-old loves doing pageants. That's her jam. So we're 2 hours away from my house at a pageant. I get a phone call. Say hello. They say, hey, is this Mr. Fluellen? I say, yes, it is. He says, is anybody at home? I say, no, nobody's at home, but who the heck is this asking if somebody's at home? So the guy says, yeah, your house is on fire right now. You need to get home. I said, oh my God. I said, is everything okay? He says, no, it's not. I'm glad you're not here because you need to get home right now. So, I'm 2 hours away from my house. My kids are looking at me. I have a concerned face, but you put one of those fake smiles on your face. They say, is everything okay, Daddy? I say, oh, everything's fine, baby. I just gotta go run home real quick. So, I'm going home. I'm driving like 100 miles an hour, trying to figure out what's going on at my house. But I could have freaked out, but I didn't. You know what I did? I started focusing my thoughts. This is going to work out. I started affirming, saying out loud while I'm in the car, this is going to work out in my favor. I started to visualize and I saw the things working out in my favor. When I got home, half my house burned down to the ground. As I pull up, I see the char, and I can smell the smoke, and I can see the ashes. They're still fluttering in the air. And they finally put out the fire as soon as I got there. See all the fire trucks and the firemen, and they look at me, they say, oh, this must be Mr. Fluellen. And I go to him, the chief of police says, I'm sorry about your house. So I look at everything and I say, well, there's nothing I can do right now. I said, I gotta go. He said, what do you mean you gotta go? Your house is burned down. I said, well, yeah, but when I got there, it was the half of my house where my garage was. Now look, I'm a parent, I'm an adult. I had a whole bunch of stuff in my garage that I needed to go anyway. So the fire was kind of a favor. So if I needed a fire to be anywhere, that place was where I needed it. Now, if you went to the other side of my house, where my living room and kitchen is, you wouldn't even know, except for the smell, you wouldn't even know that we had a fire. So I said, okay, if it had to be anywhere, it needed to be right there. So I'm driving home. I'm driving back to the cheerleading competition. I get another phone call. This one's a little bit different. I say, hello. He says, hey, is this Andre Fluellen? I said, yes, it is. He says, hey, my name is Bob with the insurance company. I'm so sorry to hear about your house. The first thing I thought was, oh my God, have I paid the bill? All right, so that's the first thing. And so he says, hey, you're all up to date with your bills. I say, God, thank God. He says, look, because it's COVID time, I can't come and check on your house. I said, okay, how's that help me? He said, so, what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna send you a check for the value of your house and all your contents, because I can't come check on the house and see the damage. I said, well, you guys gonna fix the house? He said, yeah, we're gonna fix the house, but we just can't come check on it, so I'm just gonna send you the value of all your contents. So the next question that I had to ask was, how much is the check, right? That's what we need to know. So 2 days later, I got a check in the mail for $965,000. But check this out. I get another phone call from the same guy from the insurance company. He says, hey, Mr. Fluellen, I made a mistake. I said, okay, hopefully I ain't got to give back the money. He said, well, since we maxed out your policy, we have to equate for inflation, which has been abnormally high this year. So I got to send you another $60,000. Do you mind? I said, yeah, I don't mind. So I hung up. And so that was how I made $1 million in a day. Plus, they fixed the house and my house looks phenomenal. So the value of my house has actually gone up $1 million. So not only did I make $1 million cash, I got another $1 million worth of equity in my house. And I did nothing on the physical nature or the physical level to get it. But I did something on the mental level. Every single day I focused my thoughts on what was right. And then I started affirming or making firm what I've been meditating on. And I made a mental movie of what I've been affirming and meditating. And after 2 years, I would dare say, we don't get in life what we want. We get in life at the level of consciousness that we are. Look at it like a radio station. Remember the old radio thing? Some of you might be too young to remember this. But when you're on a certain frequency, you get a certain channel. In Atlanta, if I want to hear R&B, I will listen to 104.1. That's the station. Anything other than that station is going to play something different or nothing at all. And so a lot of us, we've been meditating, affirming, and visualizing on the negative, but we've been working our tail off on the physical level. We've been working our tail off on the physical nature. And we think that because I'm working so hard, I should be going up. I should be making more. But it seems like I'm always taking 2 steps forward and 52 steps back. I would dare say our level of consciousness, because we've been meditating, affirming, and visualizing on the negative, the consciousness is going down, 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 down. And even though the hard work has been going up, 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 it doesn't matter, because once this consciousness hits a point, which I call the rainy day, I call this rain, the rainy day, all the hard work that we put in, it comes crashing down. But here's the better news, guys. If we use the same thing and we start meditating, affirming, and visualizing on the positive, and our consciousness goes up, regardless, like me, regardless if your money starts going down, it doesn't matter, because at some point in time, you will hit the breakthrough level. You hit the breakthrough level of consciousness. And no matter what your money looks like at that time, it is going to come right up to the breakthrough level. And that's what I want for you today. Now, I am a coach, and I do coach mindset. I have the 7 laws to success in consciousness, and I teach these, and I teach how to do this, and we put together a plan of how to do this. And I'm one of the only coaches, I'm actually the only one that I know, that I prove my methods before you start with me. My coaching services are $500 as of right now. When you're watching this, they might be more. But what I end up doing is, if you say prove it in the comments, you go to my website, which is right here, send me a message that says prove it. I will send you a picture with exact instructions. You have to put this picture as a screensaver on your phone. And if you follow the instructions, I promise you at some point in time, $500 or whatever the coaching costs at the time that you're watching this will come to you from a way that you're not expecting. It'll just come to you. And then what you'll do is you will feel empowered to come use me as coaching. Now, if you want to go ahead and get started with coaching, hey, I'm not going to stop you. We can get it going right now. But what I do, I love proving my methods. I want you to have this experience even before you start coaching with me. Because once you get it, and once you start coaching with me, life never is the same. Anyway, my name is Andre Fluellen, otherwise known as Flu, and this is how I made $1 million, even more, in one day by doing nothing but really doing everything that matters. Peace.